Some women bring light the moment they walk into a room. Others, the light returns the moment they walk out. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about bitterness and it's not about blame. It's about clarity. Because if you've lived long enough, and I know you have, you've seen it with your own eyes. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not every hand you hold is meant to hold yours back. Life's too short to keep giving your time, energy, and hard-earned peace to women who drain you, confuse you, or leave you constantly second-guessing yourself, especially the ones who hide behind charm, beauty, or polished social manners. In today's message, we're going to uncover 6 unmistakable signs of a destructive woman. These are patterns you can't afford to ignore. This isn't about judging anyone, it's about wisdom, about recognizing who deserves a seat at your table and who only showed up to take the bread. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. I would add, it also depends on the company you keep. Let's sharpen that clarity together. Ready? 1. She's always the victim. The first sign of a bad woman is one that many men miss until it's too late. She always plays the victim. And I mean always. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger at the grocery store, her best friend of 20 years, or one of her ex-husbands. In every single story, she's the one who was hurt, betrayed, or wronged. You sit across from her, listening, nodding, maybe even feeling protective at first. She's convincing. She paints vivid pictures of how unfair life has been, how misunderstood she is, how others constantly let her down. If you're not careful, you might start thinking she just needs someone to finally treat her right. That's the hook. But the longer you stay, the more you realize this isn't about healing old wounds. It's about control. I once knew a man named Tom. He was a good man, steady, kind, and thoughtful. After his divorce, he met a woman like this. At first, he admired her openness. She shared everything: how her ex lied, how her boss held her back, how her family never supported her. He thought she was strong for surviving it all. But as time passed, the stories never stopped. Every relationship was toxic. Every job ended unfairly. Every friendship ended in betrayal. Eventually, Tom realized he had become one of 2 things: either her hero, constantly validating her feelings, or her villain when he dared to disagree or suggest she take some responsibility. And that's where it becomes dangerous. A woman who lives in a state of constant victimhood refuses to take ownership of her actions. She rewrites every event to fit her version of the truth. And if you get too close, you'll be written into the script, usually as the next person who did her wrong. You'll become the one who let her down, the one who never understood her, the one who added to her pain. It's a cycle and it's exhausting. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control other people. We can only control ourselves. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. A woman who clings to victimhood refuses that power. She surrenders to life's circumstances and demands that everyone else carry her emotional weight. She will drain your energy, your patience, and if you're not careful, your peace of mind. So what should you do? Recognize the pattern. Stop trying to be her rescuer. You are not responsible for someone else's healing if they refuse to heal. Stay grounded in reason, not emotion. Set boundaries. Offer compassion, yes, but hold the line. And if the stories never change, step back, quietly, firmly. Stoic wisdom reminds us peace is found within. If someone keeps pulling you into chaos, walking away isn't cruel, it's wise. She's addicted to drama. The second sign of a bad woman is one you'll often feel in your gut before you recognize it with your eyes. She's addicted to drama. And this isn't just about the occasional emotional moment, we all have those. This is about a woman whose entire life seems like one long, never-ending stage play. One that she directs, stars in, and rewrites by the hour. If life around her gets too calm, too steady, she will find a way to spark conflict just to feel something. Peace makes her restless. Stability bores her. Without realizing it, you can get pulled into a cycle of confusion, tension, and emotional chaos that never seems to stop. It often starts with small things. Maybe she gets upset because you were a little distracted when she told a story. Maybe you didn't text back fast enough. Suddenly she claims you're pulling away. A peaceful evening turns into a confusing argument you never saw coming. You spend the rest of the night trying to explain yourself, apologizing for something you barely understand. By the end of it, you're exhausted and she somehow seems energized. That is the hidden danger of women who thrive on drama. Conflict gives them a sense of control. Chaos is their comfort zone because it keeps the spotlight on them. Their emotions become the center of gravity, and everyone else is expected to orbit around them. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior makes perfect sense. Seneca once wrote, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." This applies here too. A person addicted to drama isn't looking for truth or resolution. She is chasing the emotional high that comes from stirring things up, whether her own emotions or yours. She is not seeking harmony. She is seeking stimulation. And if you are the nearest emotional outlet, you'll end up paying the price. The real danger for a man in this situation is how easy it is to get swept up in it. You may tell yourself you're helping, that you're calming things down. But in reality, you're just playing your part in her performance. Whether you realize it or not, you're helping her keep the drama alive. And over time, that role wears you down. You begin to lose your sense of peace. You become reactive, anxious, constantly anticipating the next emotional outburst. You feel like you are walking on eggshells, never sure what will set her off. That right there is the beginning of losing your identity. Stoicism teaches that a man's greatest power lies in his inner stillness. When you lose that, you lose your anchor. The solution is not necessarily to walk away immediately, but it is to step back. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Let her chaos crash on its own. Observe without jumping in to fix or rescue. Epictetus taught us that we cannot control others. We can only control how we respond. And sometimes the wisest response is silence, space, the refusal to take part in someone else's storm. You are not obligated to be an actor in anyone's drama. You do not owe your emotional peace to anyone who keeps you spinning in confusion. Your job as a Stoic man is to stay grounded, to stand calm in the face of emotional waves, to refuse the invitation into the chaos. That is strength, that is discipline, and that is how you protect your clarity, your confidence, and your soul. She controls through guilt. The third sign of a bad woman is one of the most subtle and dangerous. She controls through guilt. Not with harsh words or loud arguments, but with quiet, calculated moments that make you second-guess yourself. It doesn't always look like manipulation at first. In fact, it often looks like sensitivity. Maybe she seems hurt when you cancel a dinner because of an important work project. Maybe she goes silent when you say you need some time to yourself. You interpret this as emotional openness. You assume she just needs a little reassurance. So you offer it. You cancel your plans. You rearrange your schedule. You give up bits of your life to keep the peace. And with every compromise, you feel a little heavier, but you can't quite explain why. That weight in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that is guilt, and it is not all in your head. Studies have shown that guilt activates the same regions of the brain associated with physical pain. That's why it hurts. And some women, especially the wrong women, know exactly how to use it. They don't need to say much. A sigh, a certain tone, or a withdrawn glance is enough. You start to feel like you're letting her down. You start measuring every decision by how she might react. You shift from choosing what aligns with your values to choosing what avoids conflict. And just like that, you're no longer living freely. You're reacting, you're managing her emotions instead of managing your own life. This is how she keeps control, not by demanding things directly, but by making you feel like you are constantly falling short. She never has to say, "You're not enough." Her disappointment says it all. She doesn't shout, she doesn't threaten. She simply withdraws. Affection creates distance and leaves you wondering what you did wrong. And here's where it becomes truly toxic. You start explaining your choices instead of making them. You justify your time. You walk on emotional eggshells. You begin shaping your behavior around avoiding guilt rather than living from your truth. Over time, you become a character in a story she is writing. You are no longer yourself. You are who she wants you to be, who she needs you to be, in order to keep control. But Stoic philosophy gives us a clear answer. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you allow guilt to guide your actions, you give away your power. Guilt clouds judgment. It distracts you from your mission. It turns clarity into confusion. And this isn't freedom, it's emotional imprisonment. The solution is not anger. It is not confrontation. It is clarity. You set firm boundaries. You act from reason, not fear. You choose what to give, not to avoid disappointment, but because it aligns with your purpose and values. When she tries to pull those old strings, you don't flinch. You don't fold. You remain calm, grounded, and firm in who you are. A man who knows his values and stands in them cannot be manipulated. He cannot be guilted into a life that isn't his. His peace does not depend on someone else's approval. His strength comes from within. And when you live like that, you'll see clearly guilt is only effective when you surrender to it. But when you master yourself, when you decide your path, no woman can take that from you, not unless you give it away. She lacks empathy. The fourth sign of a bad woman is one that usually reveals itself when life takes a difficult turn. She lacks empathy. If you've lived long enough, you know that hardship is inevitable. Sooner or later, life will hit you hard. Maybe you lose someone close to you. Maybe your health declines. Maybe your work takes an unexpected blow. In those moments, the people who care about you reveal themselves, and the people who don't become painfully clear. A woman who lacks empathy won't be there for you in any meaningful way. And if she is, it won't be because she truly cares. It will be because she thinks she's supposed to be. You'll sense it right away. You might mention how mentally and physically exhausted you are after a difficult week, and she barely looks up from her phone. Or worse, she changes the subject entirely, usually to something about herself. You may try to share something personal, something that required real vulnerability. But instead of engaging with understanding or even curiosity, she dismisses it. It feels like you're speaking into a void. Her responses are flat, shallow, or rushed, as if what you're feeling is just an inconvenience. There is a distance you cannot ignore. It is not just that she doesn't get it, it's that she doesn't care to. And that is a deeper kind of loneliness, the kind that settles in even when someone is sitting right beside you. A man I respect once told me a story. After losing his wife, he began dating a woman who seemed supportive. In the beginning, she said the right things and offered kind words. But when his grief deepened and he needed someone just to sit with him, in the silence, she couldn't do it. She became restless, uncomfortable, even irritated. She lacked the emotional capacity to meet him where he was. Instead of leaning in, she pulled away. She avoided the hard conversations. She rushed through his pain and turned things back to her world, her plans, her problems, her needs. Eventually, he realized something difficult but true. He was lonelier with her than he was alone. And that is what happens when a woman lacks empathy. You may have her presence, but you will not have her heart. She may hear you, but she won't feel with you. She might sit near you, but she'll be miles away emotionally. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." I would add, waste no more time hoping someone will become something they're not. Empathy cannot be taught. It cannot be begged for. It cannot be faked for long. Either it is there or it isn't. And when it's not, your spirit will feel the void. An empathetic woman doesn't need to solve your problems. She doesn't need to offer profound words. She simply needs to be present, calm, and sincere. Her quiet presence says, "I'm with you," and that sometimes is enough to help you through the worst of storms. If you find yourself constantly justifying why she seems distant during your most difficult moments, it is time to stop. Stop making excuses. Stop hoping for change that never comes. Stoicism teaches acceptance not of fantasy, but of reality. If she cannot meet you with compassion when life gets hard, she will not be there when the next storm hits. The solution isn't to demand more from her. It is to choose better for yourself. Walk away, not in anger, but with clarity. Your peace, your healing, and your emotional safety are worth more than surface-level support. Choose someone who listens not just with their ears, but with their heart. She's obsessed with superficial things. The fifth sign of a bad woman is one that can be easy to ignore at first, but over time it will drain the life out of you. She is obsessed with superficial things, not in a harmless, casual way, but in a way that defines her identity and your relationship. This is the kind of woman who measures her worth by appearances, how expensive her shoes are, how big the house is, how many people are watching, liking, or admiring. She treats status, image, and external validation as if they are everything, as if they are the true measure of value. At first, it might seem innocent. What's wrong with wanting to look nice or live well? But the issue runs much deeper. For her, it's not about enjoying nice things. It's about what those things say to other people. They represent approval, power, and social rank. You'll quickly find that her sense of worth is not based on who she is. It's based on what she has. And soon enough, she'll begin to measure you by the same standards. Whether you drive a reliable truck or a luxury car, it won't be enough. Whether you make 6 figures or 7, it still won't satisfy her. Because someone else will always have more, and she'll always be looking up at the next rung on the ladder. It becomes an endless competition, and you never signed up for it. The Stoics warned about this mindset thousands of years ago. Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. That is the heart of true contentment. But a woman who is obsessed with status and appearance will never feel satisfied. No matter what you give her, it won't fill the emptiness. She is stuck in a cycle of chasing the next best thing. And every time she reaches it, she will already be thinking about what comes after. It's like pouring water into a jar with holes. Nothing stays. Nothing is enough. She's not just chasing more stuff. She's chasing meaning in things that have no depth. And when you're with someone like that, you get pulled into the chase. You start buying things to make her happy. You push yourself harder to earn more to keep up to maintain the image she craves. Before long, your energy, your dignity, your peace, it all becomes a currency in her pursuit of validation. Marcus Aurelius called status and possessions things in different meaning. They add nothing to your true character. They do not define you. What defines you is how you live, what you stand for, and the values you uphold. But she won't see that in you, not really, because she's looking at the surface. And when she can't find what she's after in your spirit, she'll start looking for it in your wallet. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." A woman obsessed with the surface will always feel poor, no matter how much she has. And when you tie yourself to someone like that, peace becomes impossible. If you're with a woman who cares more about appearances than truth about image, more than integrity, then understand what's at stake. You will slowly lose yourself trying to keep up with someone who can never be fulfilled. The solution is not bitterness, it is wisdom. Walk away not because you are angry, but because you are ready to live deeper. A man who values his peace knows when it's time to leave a shallow life behind. She can't admit she's wrong. The sixth sign of a bad woman is one that reveals itself during disagreements. She can never admit when she is wrong. You could explain your side calmly and clearly. You could show her facts, logic, or even proof that a child could understand. None of it matters. She will twist the story to make herself right no matter what. And if she cannot win the argument with facts, she will change the entire focus. Suddenly, the conversation is not about the original issue anymore. Now it is about how you are making her feel, how you are attacking her, or how you always do this. The original point disappears under a wave of emotional deflection. At first, you might think she is just being stubborn. Maybe she is having a rough day. But over time, you realize this is not just occasional pride, it is a pattern. She cannot take responsibility, not even for the smallest mistake. She would rather bend reality than admit fault. Why? Because in her mind, being wrong means being weak. And to her, weakness is unacceptable. This goes beyond just pride. Psychologically, people who refuse to admit fault often have fragile self-esteem. Acknowledging a mistake feels like a threat to their identity, so they defend themselves at all costs, even when it damages the relationship. But here's the problem. When someone is more concerned with being right than being honest, they sacrifice growth, trust, and connection. They turn every disagreement into a battle for control, not a moment for learning or understanding. The Stoics understood the value of humility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me. I am making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective. I will gladly change. It is the truth I am after." That is wisdom. When someone resists correction, they are not protecting the relationship. They are protecting their ego. And in doing so, they shut the door to emotional intimacy. You end up carrying the burden of always being the reasonable one, always being the one who bends. It is lonely and it is exhausting. A relationship like this becomes less about partnership and more about survival. You start to question your own perspective. You begin to doubt yourself just to keep the peace. You stop growing because the relationship has no space for honest reflection. And that is the real tragedy. By refusing to admit fault, she misses the very thing that gives life depth, the pursuit of truth. A Stoic man values truth over ego. He does not need to be perfect. He just needs to be honest. That includes admitting when he is wrong and growing from it. But he also needs a partner who can do the same. If she cannot say those simple words, "I was wrong," she is not just avoiding accountability. She is blocking connection, growth, and love. The solution is not to argue or try to win. It is to recognize what is missing: humility, openness, the ability to grow together. If she cannot offer that, then you must make a choice, not out of anger, but out of respect for yourself and the life you are building. Seneca said, "Only time can heal what reason cannot." But in a relationship where reason is never welcomed, time only makes the wounds deeper. Walk away not to punish her, but to honor your peace, your values, and your future. She disrespects your time. By this stage in life, if there is one thing we know for certain, it is that time is the most valuable currency we have. Money can be earned, health can often be restored, but time, once it is gone for good. That is why a woman who disrespects your time is not just careless. She is dangerous to your peace of mind. And if you are not careful, she can silently steal years from your life. Not all at once, but little by little. I once knew a man named Richard. He was a successful contractor in his mid-50s based in Houston. He had built his business from the ground up and was respected for his discipline, work ethic, and character. But in his personal life, he found himself constantly waiting. And the reason was a woman named Elise. When they first started dating, she was charming. She had the warmth, the looks, and knew how to make a man feel desired. But a pattern started to emerge. She was always late, first by 20 minutes, then 40. She canceled plans at the last minute or claimed she just was not feeling up to it. Sometimes she simply forgot they even had plans. At first, Richard gave her the benefit of the doubt. Life gets busy after all. But as weeks turned into months, things didn't change, they got worse. He found himself rearranging his work schedule just to see her. He waited alone at restaurants. He canceled fishing trips with lifelong friends because she said she wanted to spend time with him, only to have her bail with no explanation. I remember one day sitting across from him at lunch. He stared at his phone after being stood up yet again and said, "Man, I feel like I'm always waiting." That one sentence said it all. When someone disrespects your time, they are not just keeping you waiting physically. They are occupying your mental space. They are creating emotional uncertainty. And if you allow it long enough, they will convince you that this is normal, that you just need to be more patient, more understanding, more flexible. But a Stoic man knows better. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that is the truth Richard came to realize. Elise was not busy. She was not forgetful. She simply did not value his time because she did not truly value him. And the hardest part, he had allowed it by not valuing his own time first. The solution is not confrontation. It is not a dramatic ultimatum. It is clarity. You respect your time the same way you respect your life because they are one and the same. A woman who honors you will honor your schedule. She will show up when she says she will. She will treat your time as sacred because she knows it reflects how much you value yourself. Epictetus asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" The answer is simple, not one moment longer. Richard stopped waiting, and so should you. Time wasted is life wasted. Spend yours where it is appreciated, protected, and honored. A Stoic man does not beg to be valued. He chooses relationships that already do. If there's one lesson this story drives home, it's this time is your most precious asset, and how others treat it reflects how they truly see you. In my own life, I've learned that when someone repeatedly cancels, shows up late, or expects you to rearrange your life for their convenience, it's not just bad manners, it's a lack of respect. And the worst part, if you tolerate it, you teach them it's okay. The advice I take from this and offer to you is simple. Protect your time like you would protect your health. Don't wait around for people who treat your schedule like it's optional. Don't justify poor behavior with excuses or hope they'll change. The people who value you will value your time without being told. If you're constantly left waiting, whether emotionally or physically, take it as a sign. Step back. Create space. Focus on the people and priorities that honor your presence. Because once you start guarding your time with intention, you'll see who belongs in your life and who never did. Choose peace over convenience, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over false connection. You don't have to explain your worth to anyone who can't see it.